One of the problems with the EV industry is financing, or rather the lack of it. So,
Yeah.
is there any plan to involve the dealer in some way? If you have a bigger tie-up with some finance company and the dealer also earns something through the financing mechanism, so is that something the company has thought about?
No, I didn't get your question. Like, one is the financial tie-up we as a OEM have to do with the financial institutions, both NBFCs and banks. So there anyway, dealer will get involved at outlet level. And but I did not get your question on the how he will make money from this tie-up. Can you give more clarification, please?
Right. So basically, the thing that would work would be that if, for example, the dealer is able to get a financial tie-up in place, suppose the company is not able to get one. So obviously, there is a kind of a cut that he gets in terms of financing. Or if the dealer is got some spare cash of his own, and if he decides to get into the financing business, I don't think a company like Pure EV would have a problem. But giving vehicles on lease or even rentals for that matter could be an additional source for revenues for Pure EV dealers. That's the suggestion that I have to make.
So in terms of the rentals already, for example, in Hyderabad, like, Flipkart, and there are many more companies who have purchased vehicles. Like it's like 5, 10, 20 number of kind of vehicles. Always we pushed it through the dealers only. We have never made any B2B deal so far, like, directly through the company. Even in Pune, Serum Institute has bought almost like 60 vehicles. Like, that was also done through one of the Pune dealer. So there always definitely the company's focus is how do we maximize the sales and improve the cash flow and the profitability and everything, because that is one of the biggest challenge for many dealers in out there in the market, including Pure EV also. Like, because the number of sales versus the investments they make, like, the rents they pay is not so high in the today in the EV market, because every dealer has come into the made an entry into this, like, by thinking that, after 1 or 2 years, 3 years, I will make money, and today I have to be on the losing side or break even side. So on the financing side, you have made a right point. If the dealer is bringing, yes, actually, like, we have one dealer from Andhra Pradesh, we have one dealer from Karnataka, we have one dealer from Tamil Nadu, where they brought in the tie-up. Basically, what we are doing is we are linking it to the number of sales, because the moment finance is there, right? The outlet sales, we have seen that, they've jumped up by 50% to 100%. That I have confessed with many dealers, like, we also felt sorry, because the major jolt came was the corona, actually, because many tie-ups we have done, and we all know, like, today we can be very open and, like, honest, like, what is happening in the out there in the with the banking institutions, like, even for the regular very proven vehicles also, like, they have increased the CIBIL score, like, even for a normal personal loan also, like, they are making it more difficult, because from their cash flow perspective they are right, banks also, because they are not receiving the moratorium. Many cards, credit cards, many loans are stuck in the moratorium. So there are larger issues which are getting dealt at the bank board level and everything. And for these big banks, what is happening is, like, the whatever the 1% EV sales, that too in the high speed, it's a very minuscule thing. At this kind of economical situation, they don't want to take a risk also. So in spite of that, like, till today, like, some dealers, whatever the tie-ups we have made with Bajaj Finserv, IDFC, or, like, this money tap and all, like, so there the sales are happening, but it is very, very small, like, 3%, 5%, 10%. It is not a significant help we or the banks are able to currently offer to the dealers. And we have been very honest also with the dealers that, the tie-ups are done. In fact, many tie-ups we have stopped, like, company has done, we did not even let it go to the dealer, because what was happening is so much of paperwork gets done by the dealer and no conversion happens because of this change of rules in the back end systems by the bank. And many times they are not even transparent with us that, they have increased the CIBIL score, especially for the electric vehicles. So where, like, the client is coming, walking into the showroom, he goes through the process, and the dealer also spends some money, some paperwork, like, 5,000, 10,000, where the conversion is not happening. Almost like, 3-4 tie-ups we have done, but we have told them that, only when you we have told the banks also very seriously, only when you come and tell us, like, these are the range of CIBIL scores when you are going to offer, then only we will let you talk to our dealers. So wherever, like, coming to your question, specific question, there are 3-4 dealers where they brought in the local cooperative bank tie-ups. So we always link the incentive, that 1,000-2,000 rupees extra, like, incentive we had been offering based on the sales, because always, like, the financial tie-up has increased the sales by 50%, 100%. So that sales incentive is there uniformly across all the dealers. So it is coming because of the financial. So indirectly, yes, we had been promoting, but not as a direct kind of program. We have not launched anything. So, but we have told the dealers that, some case studies are there with the pure EV dealers that, local cooperative banks have been very flexible and working friendly with the dealers, rather than the so-called big names always have been making the effort very, very high at the OEM level, dealer level, even at the consumer level.
Right. Yeah, and the advantage of local cooperative banks is they know the customer. The relationship is deeper.
Exactly. Yes.
They are kind of even shareholders in that bank for
Yes.
all you know. So it's
Yes.
much easier to kind of process
It's much easier. In fact, they have been very, very, very flexible. In fact, I can openly state this to out there who are going to listen to this, because this is one of the major bottleneck being faced by industry. It's not the subsidy, it's not the some other problems. The finance is the major thing, and that is where the government should take it very, very seriously, because they should solve this problem first, rather than yes, subsidy is important, all other things are important, but the bottleneck for the consumer today, everyone knows, a two-wheeler or three-wheeler is brought by any consumer, whether he has money or not, that's a different thing, but they always would like to purchase it through a loan. So consumer finance. So without that support, I don't think so industry will move forward. The adoption will not take place the way the government is projecting the numbers. So this is one fundamental problem at a policy level has to be solved, and banks definitely have to give some special incentive, because we cannot blame the bank also, because they have their own internal issues. I mean, we cannot squarely put the blame on the banks that they are not coming forward. They are only signing some MOU. The conversions are not happening, and I have my sympathies with the banks also in the current scenario. So definitely at a policy level only some structural changes have to come, and a very specific program has to be launched by Government of India in this perspective. That they have to, if the big banks are not coming forward, because already we have seen all the many companies also seen, many OEMs have seen that the cooperative banks are coming forward. So some kind of structural program can be launched where the banks are get some kind of incentivized, when they give a loan to EV vehicles, because that will offer much better, faster adoption and sustainable adoption compared to subsidies. These will offer much better, faster and sustainable adoption, and the clients are also happy. No consumer is will cry that some subsidy amount is been some 5,000, 10,000 has been reduced by the government. Actually, no OEM is going to cry. The thing is, everyone wants a faster cash flow at the dealer level and OEM level, and the consumer wants monthly that EMI, whether it is 2 years, 3 years. So what's happening is many banks, they are coming forward, but they are offering a EMI of 6 months to 12 months. It is of not much great use to the people who have earnings between 15,000 to 30,000 today, who wants to buy electric two-wheelers, in the whether it is low speed or high speed, irrespective of it. The income groups between 15 to 30,000, so that he has a monthly savings of 2,000, 3,000 compared to owning a petrol vehicle, and also some kind of savings in the maintenance. So the greater demand is that I want to go through the finance. And the quality, yes, product experience, everything is there, but in spite of that, this is the major bottleneck. This is where the structural program at a national level through Government of India should come forward.
Yeah, and one more thing which I kind of am wondering, of course, this is not a question in some sense, but the resale value of a vehicle is what will probably give trust to the financial institutions.
Yes.
So the moment we start seeing higher resale values for electric vehicles, because see, the lead acid was a very sorry story, and probably a lot of banks base their experiences, or they are with if once the battery runs out, a lot of people have just scrapped the vehicles.
Yes.
And banks don't want to get into an asset which they can't even liquidate later on.
Definitely. So that is where so see there banks can take a choice that they want to increase this EMI period to 24 months, 36 months, where they can do some kind of, they can bring and make the OEMs also responsible, because it's a new technology where the banks are taking. So the OEM also cannot escape, because for example today the electric vehicle is becoming a dead asset actually, is not because some the chassis has gone wrong, like the body part has gone wrong. It is majorly because the batteries are getting dead, even in lithium. Like let us be fair and honest on these kind of matters and critical matters. Even within 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 year, like range comes down to by 50%, 40%, 60%. The speed comes down. So where the client loses interest, so these kind of challenges, definitely it's a technological problem which OEMs have to take the responsibility. They are responsible, and they have to make their investments in the powertrain. Today, every OEM has to have a design approach or a R&D approach, even if they are having a CKD approach also. Through their supply of these kind of challenges, they have to they have to solve these kind of challenges. If the battery is there, which is occupying 50 to 60% of the cost, and the controller and motor is occupying the rest of the 20% of the cost, this is where we have to show internal or audited MIS reports to the banks. We have to disclose that this is our failure rate. Today, at least Pure EV, internally, we are able to disclose all our failure rates to our investors, sales team, the internal ecosystem, to banks also we are able to showcase, and to dealers also, we are going to take a call, we should, at least through sales team, already I have given indications that, you discuss that, these are the failure rates we are having component by component. Let's say we have 800 components, we have a MIS data, and that is where we are encouraging the dealers also to go through this formal service ticket process, so that not even a single ticket is being missed out in this failure rate. So this is where the OEMs have to slowly become transparent, especially on the powertrain failure rate. Today, I know that the powertrain failure rates are very, very high out there in the market. I don't want to spell the number also. So at pure EV level, although relatively we are best, but internally when we say that 0.2%, 0.5%, 1% in a matter of 1.5 year, I will say as a coming from technical background, I am not happy. Although failure rate is very, very low, compared to the industry standard, 0.2%, 0.5%, 1%. When I say failure rate at pure EV level, it's not the component failure also. Someone says that, sir, mera kmph, it used to come 60 kmph, now I'm getting 52 only. So that also we are allowing it to register as a failure rate. The range also, I mean, their plugin knows, and you can also check how many batteries we have offered as a replacement, just because the range was claimed that 90 kilometer nahi aa raha hai, 50 60 aa raha hai, 65 aa raha hai. And there is a protocol also. Dealer knows the protocol, clients also know the protocol. We had been very transparent on the protocol on these matters. So that is where the banks will only get confidence when we are able to, like the big OEMs do, they disclose lot of internal reports to the financial institutions and to internal team members also. They don't stay at the management level. We have to showcase to the auditors and everything. That is one good structural thing we have done. We have and encouraged by our investors also, that we started revealing our failure rates, because that is how the dealer is able to plan also, that okay, so and so component is getting failed from so and so batch, and we want to showcase in the next 6 months and 1 year by batch how we have reduced the trends on these failure rates. So then, see, financial institution, definitely they have all the rights to feel negative that resale value is not there, because powertrain is a Greek and Latin to them. Engine is a proven technology, then other things are also proven actually. So there they have a resale value. So here there is a sense of responsibility should come from the OEM perspective also, that yes, we should talk realistic with everyone in the ecosystem on the failure rate, and we should educate, even if gain negativity in the beginning, right? Because we have to believe that we as an OEM, we are here in the play for next 10 to 20 years, not for 1 or 2 years. So we have to be very conscious, and we have to be very transparent on the failure rates. We should alert the dealers that so and so failure rates are happening, and this kind of data should be made available for the auditors as well as financial institutions when they want to go through it. Then only they will get, not with merely with some kind of paper news articles, or with some kind of PPT kind of mechanisms, or with what banks wants is from the EV OEMs is, we have to not just talk the talk, we have to walk the walk actually. And that is what we have to get aligned, including pure EV. I'm not taking pure EV as an exception, and at least I can say that we are marching in the direction. In next 6 months, we are going to improve and bring with trust value only. I'm sure banks will come forward, And there, many banks are showing interest to tie up with Pure EV, majorly because we are able to manufacture the battery and we are able to disclose our COGS also to the battery, to the banks. And to many dealers also, they know the COGS and they know their margin on the battery sale also, which is very good, profitable tomorrow at all. Like, they're going to do the sales of the batteries. And many dealers also know, irrespective of the failure rate, yes, like, we have taken the criticism first, whatever the limited failure rates we have, but we have never denied any replacement so far. Whenever it is fitting into the protocol, we have never denied or delayed the replacement.
Right.
So that is what banks also would like to see. That is where they want to wait. That, is the technology available with the company? What is the COGS? Let's say, like, bank is coming to me, like, I'm only getting the resale value, and tomorrow OEM has to take some hit. That hit has to be minimal also, because then your cash flow, the moment you have lost the cash flow, whatever the commitment you are making, it is only implemented on paper actually. You cannot practically implement. So the cost innovation should happen from the OEM side on the battery and motor and controller. It can only come not just simply like, looking for a supply chain, cheaper supply chain. You have to make investments in the technology on these three elements.